Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Tracy Babe. Is it today? Today is better gist. Maybe we'll continue our stories from our email in next episode. But today, I want to share with you guys the latest gist now online. So I know that some of you must have heard about the gist, but yeah, I'm still gonna say it because maybe there could be some things you've not heard about the gist. So yes, I need to say it. So the gist is about Frank Edoho, Chike, and his wife, and Frank's wife Sandra. Yes. So Frank is a Nigerian TV presenter of a very big show. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? That's the name of the show. Then Chike is a very famous Nigerian music artist. Then Sandra is Frank's wife, or sorry, ex-wife now. Yes. So Frank and Sandra, they were married. They've been married for years, had kids, and they got separated last year. That is around the kind June 2025. Yes. So this year they have not yet divorced. They are still working on it. They have not actually divorced. Everybody knows that they have separated since last year. That's how some blogs now started dropping gists, gossip about the reasons behind their separation since last year. That's how some blogs started dropping that it's because of Chike, that is the music artist. That is why they got the separation last year. That was how the whole story blew up the internet. And now the story is trending. Yes, it's really trending. Chike is really trending. Because a lot of people are saying that he's the one that scattered and ruined Frank and Sandra's marriage. But now, there are other sides of the story that is now coming out. Now, Sandra is now speaking for herself. She said a lot of things on her Instagram. She said, I'm going to be reading out the things she posted. Yes. So Sandra was now saying from her story, from her post, which I'm going to be reading out very soon. She was actually saying that it's not because of Chike, that a lot of things were actually going on in their marriage even before she got involved with Chike. That is the gist. Allegedly, I know they deal. I don't know how it happened, So that's a lot of blogs are saying a lot of things. Even nobody's sure because we are not there. You understand? So that waiting person there you say happen, stuff like that. Yes. So I'm going to be reading out because the lady is saying that it's because of Frank's bad attitude towards her in the marriage. That is why she got separated and they're working on the divorce now. So Frank is saying it's because his wife cheated on him. Where a lot of hearsays. Yeah, so I'm going to be reading out one of the wife's, that is Sandra, Frank's ex-wife's post on Instagram where she was contemplating on what really happened in their marriage before they got separated. She said, and I quote, "Surviving a bitch-ass nigga, Frank Edoho. Choosing to remain silent may give mixed signals to the narrative that a sadist and narcissist peddles, making everyone believe he is the victim. Choosing to marry a man, raising our beautiful kids, single-handedly building and growing a successful design business, and giving myself wholly, undiluted and faithful, true and true. Until you decided that while I was pregnant with our first child, you would rather have a prolonged affair that lasted years with an actress, Mbong Amata, among other women. Where do I even begin? The nights crying on the floor begging that you see me with you working out and not returning for days? Wow. Or the days you tormented me to abort our second child because you were in numerous relationships and not able to be a father? Throughout the emotional, psychological, mental, and physical torture and abuse, I stayed committed, faithful, shielding you, carrying you like an egg. But you were a shell, washed up and dried out. You live for validation of the internet, so enjoy your 10 seconds of pity party. A deadbeat, that is exactly what you are. I'm not the one that said it though. I single-handedly sponsored your lavish lifestyle, single-handedly paid all your bills, the trips, business class tickets, 5-star hotels, luxury trips, all the home billings, including that of the other children from your previously failed marriage. Yes, you guys know that Frank was married before. That is married to his first wife, I think in 2010, and they divorced after some years. He now got married to Sandra. I think that was in 2014, thereabout. Yes. So let me continue. I took your mom abroad to the United States, and she lived in my parents' home for years. I tried to cover you, tried to protect you, tried to shield you, but no one knew how empty you were, how empty you still are. I saw another post where she talked about how she survived the husband, that is Frank Edoho. So surviving Frank Edoho, it's more like the title of this particular section of her post. I refuse to be tagged an unfaithful wife, a prostitute, or an ashawo, as I have been pegged these past few days, because the story has really been trending for some days now. He didn't come as the most eligible bachelor. However, I loved him with all my heart and soul against the wishes of my family. Faithful to the core, he always bragged about me to his friends, colleagues, and anyone who cared to listen. Frank, you must come to equity with clean hands. You must acknowledge and take responsibility to how you led us here. I was constantly humiliated, physically abused, and traumatized. Please find evidence picture. Yeah, I have a picture of where she posted part of her body to show as evidence of the domestic violence, the physical abuse. Yes. He sold my property that I bought with my hard-earned sweat for peanuts. The kitchen alone in that house cost me almost the amount you sold that house because you were desperate to do dirty December. When I realized I was livid and cursed you out so bad, I was so mad at you. You breached my privacy by audio recording me. You further dishonored me by releasing those tapes to the public. Which is so ironical because I have tapes for days on you from talking to your side chicks, including your nude pictures that you were being blackmailed for when you were catfished by a girl you thought you were chatting with. I stood up to the blackmailers when they contacted me to pay. Can you imagine these people, these blackmailers? I told them to go to hell and do their worst. You thanked me for standing with you, remember? Recently, when you said you have found your soulmate in Tea with Tay podcast by at Tay Mason, I was so happy for you. At least you go come eye for my body. When you and Amako Keke at Diary of Falion Pain, who is a married woman, by the way, we are posting yourselves up and down on social media, wearing and co for events, celebrating your birthday parties by posting each other with endearing names, bestie, and attending public events. I faced my front. I kept quiet. When she moved into our home, hanging her cheap clothes in my closet that I built with my sweat, and laying on my matrimonial bed, I kept quiet. I feel so sad for even talking about a man I once loved. But I must, as I have young children who would one day be able to understand their mother's side in case they get bullied with online publications. You know, social media, no, they forget anything. Even in the next 10 years, these children can say all of this. I really pity them. So let's continue. I caught you at Boho with 2 prostitutes, with Ihani Injemanze at Richmond.Wealth, whom you were gallivanting with at the time. The girls didn't know I was your wife and made advances to fight me and my cousin. She bears me witness. You were soliciting hook up girl that charges 100k, sometimes 80k, sometimes 50k. Crazy work. A man that I always put on every properties I acquired with my own funds, with no contribution from him. A man who didn't care, feed, or provide for our kids, even till date. A man who never picked his children's calls till date. A man whom I ensured made peace with his children from his previous failed marriage. You held a dumbbell and wanted to smash my face, saying I would destroy your face so no man can ever see your beauty again. When you threatened to kill me at night, I knew this was my cue to leave and never look back. Even your sister, Edoho, agreed that she could never get married to a man like her brother. What? And was in shock that I covered up for you all these years. Story long ago. It's this social mentality that men and marriage is the price that keeps women in shackles of sadness, all in the name of remaining in an unhappy marriage or relationship that saps the life out of them. Kind of true. As long as I am happy with who I am and who I am with, then that is all that matters. And if the relationship doesn't work out, we still move. Women need to hold themselves in higher esteem, to be honest. I have always lived a very private life and can't believe that I am here having to explain and expose myself to public scrutiny, debates, skits, and AI videos. I have never cared about public perception or opinions, and it won't start now. Nobody even knew me as Frank Edoho's wife. That's to show you how much I protected myself in privacy. Well, now you know me as his ex. But anyhow, such is life. We still move. Now back to what I know how to do best, designing the most exclusive homes around the world. So that's what happened. This is one of the most trending gists online now. A lot of people are talking, a lot of people are judging, a lot of people are analyzing. Some people are supporting Frank, some people are supporting Frank's ex-wife Sandra, some people are supporting Chike, the Nigerian artist that had an affair with Sandra. A lot of people are just talking. But I've just been busy. For some days I've just been busy reading, watching the videos, reading comments and all those things. Especially the women. Women are just supporting Chike anyhow. Women, be careful. Some people are supporting Chike. Most women are supporting Chike for the wrong reasons. I'm not here to judge anybody, judge the people supporting Frank or Sandra or Chike or anybody. But before you start talking on social media, before you start laying some comments or start judging any of them, be careful. Listen. You need to understand what really happened, because from the whole thing I've heard about this gossip, this whole marriage saga, the problem in that marriage is bigger than cheating. It is not just cheating. There is a whole lot actually wrong in that marriage, even before the cheating started. That is what I've come to understand. So I'm going to be speaking from Frank's perspective, Sandra's perspective, and Chike's perspective. So firstly, I'll be talking from Frank's perspective. Yes. Now, I need you guys to understand why a lot of men are supporting Frank. Because a lot of men can actually relate with what Frank is going through emotionally. See, every married man, every sensible married man will be hurt and find it very painful when he discovers that the woman he loves is married to, the woman that he is emotionally connected to, is now emotionally connected to another guy. Take it or leave it. Yes, especially if the guy is younger, talented, publicly admired, very important. Everybody knows Chike a fine guy, and loved by many. So it's very painful to be in such a situation when your wife has emotionally checked out of your marriage and now connected to someone else. Yes, this kind of thing can really affect a man, can destroy a man's mentality. So that is why a lot of men can actually relate with what Frank is going through, with what Frank has been saying and all of that. So if this story is actually true about what he has been saying in a lot of podcasts, posts and all of this, if it is actually true, then I can now understand why a lot of men can relate. Because, a lot of married men especially can relate with Frank emotionally. So now let's talk from Sandra's point of view. That is Frank's ex-wife. Yes, let's talk from her own side too. See, take it or leave it, believe it or not, women do not wake up and become emotionally attached to someone else overnight. No, women are emotional beings. It is always a gradual process. Yes, there is no way that kind of emotional connection must have happened overnight. That's with little things, like having some certain types of conversation with someone else, being understood by someone else, feeling heard by someone else, being admired by someone else. That is how emotional connection starts. See, the bitter truth is that a lot of married women are emotionally lonely in their marriage, but they cannot come out and say it publicly. So what I'm trying to say is that if all the allegations against Sandra is actually true, the allegations about her being emotionally and romantically involved with Chike, if it's actually true, then she's totally wrong on that part. She would have waited till she left the marriage completely and totally before doing that. So the irony is that once emotional intimacy is shared elsewhere, that marriage, that relationship is already in danger. See, one thing social media needs to understand is that some women have emotionally checked out of their marriage. They are physically present, but emotionally they are connected elsewhere. And the sad truth, their husbands might not even notice. A man that doesn't pay attention to you, your marriage, your connection in that marriage will not even notice when you emotionally checked out. So finally, let's talk from Chike's point of view. Yes, I know a lot of people has been criticizing him, saying why would he get involved with a married woman and all that. And some women are supporting Chike, that he became the boot, the bullies. He supported a woman that was emotionally hurting in a marriage and all of that. I'm not here to judge him. I'm not even supporting him. Because if the allegations about him getting involved romantically with someone else's wife is actually true, then you're wrong, Chike. Yes, he is very, very wrong for doing that. Because when a woman is having issues in her marriage, as far as for the fact that she's still in that marriage, you getting involved with her will only bring destruction to you, her, and that marriage. And that's exactly what has happened now. So, a lot of people are just busy criticizing the three of them and talking about the whole issue. But the main issue is being neglected. What is the main issue? It is the rate at which modern marriages are failing, are dying. Yes, people will be married together in their marriage, but they are lonely. Two people married, but they are disconnected. Two people married, they are busy posting publicly, but suffering privately. These are the different ways by which modern marriages are failing. And people are not paying attention to that rate at which it is failing. They are paying attention to who to drag and the latest gist, whose fault it is, and all those stuff. So let's just summarize. So all things being fair, if we are going to be fair, and if all these allegations online are really true, then let's call the spade a spade. Chike is wrong for being involved with a married woman. As far as they're not divorced, they're still married, separated or not. You should have waited if you really wanted her. Sandra is wrong for getting involved with someone else, physically and emotionally, while she was still married to Frank. And Frank, like so many spouses out there, will be wrong for everything that he was accused of if it was true. And also, he will also be wrong for causing that emotional distance between him and the wife. Marriage is not easy. Marriage is hard work. Marriage is stressful. But if you build well, you will enjoy and not endure. No matter how someone that is married, be it a married man or a married woman, claims to be unhappy in their marriage, do not get involved until they are out of that marriage. Right attitude in marriage is very important. Right mindset in marriage is also very important. So we have to be careful and intentional about marriage and be ready when you say you now want to get married. Make sure that you're ready before you enter. It's very important. So that is all for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching my video. Thanks so much for listening. From our next video, we'll now continue with sharing the stories of people from the mail. You know, like I said in my last video, that if you have any story, maybe something you're going through or something you've observed from society, social media, or someone else's life that you want to share related to relationship, love, marriage, divorce, connection, anything related to love and relationship stuff, you want to share, you have any question, or you want to share your personal experience with the world, but you don't want people to know that it's actually you, kindly send your stories to corpuschronicles@gmail.com. There I will read out the story, ask you questions. Maybe you have questions that you want people to advise you on what to do, that you're confused, that you're going through this and all of that. Ask your questions, send it to corpuschronicles@gmail.com. There I will definitely attend to you. Thank you so much for watching my video today. Thanks so much for listening, and please, if you've not subscribed, can you subscribe to my channel? Also like and comment on my videos as well. Thank you so much for watching. See you on another episode with Tracy Baby. Bye.